Good morning. Pawpaw, Sammy, and Alley here. This morning, I've been asked about a couple of my subscribers, how do you make money with your red wigglers? Well, I'm going to go through it real careful this morning, show you how, why, and when. Okay, now I'm going to start off showing you how I mix the bedding for the worms. This is my old Craftsman's yard rake. You hook it behind the lawnmower and pull it across the yard, it rakes and throws the grass. So I take this dried grass, okay, put it down in a bucket. Worms eat this grass. Once it starts decaying, the worms start eating. And when they start eating it, they eat their bedding. And so it's really, if you mix leaves and grass, but make sure that grass has went through a heat. It's not hot, or those worms won't survive it. Okay, now you got the grass, the leaves, and the bucket. Now you come here, shredded paper. People, I bought this thing. This is a basket off an old bicycle. All right, my granddaughter threw it away and I salvaged it. I paid $5 for this thing, I think, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. I go to the library, they throw these old books away. See? Okay? Instead of letting them go to the dump, it takes that book years to decay in the dump. I come here, I tear a page out the book, it fits perfect, run it through. But what I'll do is, and it's hard to do one-handed, so I preempted it. I'll tear off a strip. It tears extremely easy, and I feed the strips through. And what happens then, let me get you on. If I can get the little rascal to come on, there you go. Or you can just take it like this if you're in a hurry. See? It's just that simple. Tear the page out, feed it through, there's your paperwork. Now, when you get your shredded paper, here's the trick, people. If you grab a handful and just throw it down in that bucket and pour water on top of it, that paper is going to glue together and make a clump. And forget it. It'll be months and those worms can't get to it. You take it and you mix it. You separate that paper with the grass, the leaves, and coffee grounds, which I'm going to add. By the way, they eat coffee filters and all. Now, what I'm doing, instead of sending this to the dump, and God knows how many more like it, just sit there for years and years and not decay, I'm turning it right now. I will be turning it into, when you get to this worm bin, you're turning it into this, the prettiest black dirt you ever seen. And if you look, you can see the paper. See how it looks? It's just falling apart. Not only that, look at the coffee filters. They won't last long. Keep them damp, and those worms, oh, look at the worms. Those worms just keep right on going. All right, now here's the coffee grounds. I save them in the house, put them in a plastic bag. Now I want to show you something. You just dump the whole thing in there. That's kind of hard to see down in there. But that's coffee filters and all. Then you do the same thing. You mix it good. What it is, the coffee filters, coffee, don't go buy a pound of coffee and dump it in that worm bin. Too much acid. It's best to use used coffee grounds. They've been run through the filter and water and dilute it down. It takes care of the acid in there. But all you do is mix it up real good. And I'm not going to spend the day showing all that. Then I'll go outside and soak it full of water. That looks mighty wet. But people, worms, red wigglers, dry, they die. They got to stay damp. I made the statement a few minutes ago, do not put anything in a bin that hadn't been through a heat. Now, see the size of my bin? Okay. Underneath these 2 napkins, which napkins don't hardly decay, I don't usually put them in there, You see that? That's some old brown rice that somebody gave me. It is hot, hot to the touch. It's going through a heat. What happens? Your worms stay back here. See them? See the worms in there? Look at them. Those worms come until they're comfortable. They get right here. They eat their bacteria off this and the fungi. And as the heat starts dying out, they'll go in tighter and tighter. And in a week or so, you take that and pull it up and be just a gob of worms there. So that's the only exception. If you got a big enough container, by all means, put anything you want there in one corner out the way where your worms can adjust. I'm gonna go through this quickly because it takes a few minutes and I don't want to make a 2-hour video over something that's very simple. As I said before, you want to get your worms. Now I raise my own worms, so I get them free. But I don't know if you can see the worms, but look at them. See them? Drop them in there, shake them out. And this doing it this way, I don't want to hurt them. Doing it this way takes a few minutes. There's faster ways. I have a sifter. I can sift this whole bed in a matter of minutes if I wanted to. There's your worms. You go through them, throw them in there. You get 250 worms. Now here's the thing, people. See that ball of worms? Now, I raise my own, so I have no problem. But this 250 worms is a quarter pound. Plus, when you're buying worms, they consider a pound of worms to be 1,000 plus or minus. Big worms, 950. Little worms, maybe 1,100. But they consider 1,000 worms as 1 pound. That's how they do it. Now, after going through it and sorting it out, I didn't do a lot of it, but I have a finer filter. This is for the worms. You can see how pretty and black that is. Coffee ground's gone, the leaves are gone, the paper's out of it. Absolutely no odor, the prettiest black dirt you ever seen. So what you're doing with your worm bin, you're actually biograding stuff that would go to the dump and turn it into absolutely superb. This is not fertilized. This is a living organism, the bacteria, fungi. I really don't know what I was in it, but you can take a cup of this and put it into a 5-pound bag of garden soil, stir it up real good, keep it damp and out of the direct sun for a few days, and you won't believe how your plants will grow. Now, I got the worms in here. I would have if I was going to do it, but I'm not going to put them in there right now. I was just show and tell. Now, the rest of the object is, while I was doing this, my shredded paper and grass and leaves and coffee grounds, like I said, my grass, leaves, paper and all was soaking. Now this is wet, but that's not a problem. As it sits there and soaks, the paper and that dried grass is going to start absorbing that water. In a couple of 3 or 4 hours, that's going to really dry out. Now here's the thing, people. Red wigglers will die if they are dry. They cannot live without moisture. They breathe through their skin. So anyway, with 250 worms, which is a quarter pound, you go to Dollar Tree, that's a $5 little bucket, okay? Free grass, free leaves, free paper. It's not going to the dump, they'll give it to you. If you don't drink coffee, go to one of the coffee shops and they'll actually give you the grounds to keep from having to pay to dump them. That's for gardening. Coffee grounds is one of the best things in the world to throw in your flower bed. Nitrogen up to go-go and other trace elements. Anyway, and your worms will eat them too. So anyway, what it is, this container with the free grass and paper and leaves, a quarter pound of free worms because I raised my own, and $5. You can sell this, depends on where you're at. Where I'm at right now, I can sell it for $75. Now, that's not the only thing. Farm is one item you can sell, okay? The worms is another item. For a pound of red wigglers, you can get $60, $70. All right? Now, on top of that, all this pretty black soil that these worms are eating, because they eat their bedding, they'll eat the bedding, which is the leaves, grass, etc., coffee ground. You can sell that for $2 a pound. And if I had to guess, inside this bin, there's 150 pounds. If I wanted to just strip it out, sell the worms, sell the poop, sell the worm bins, I'm looking at a couple of $200 or $300 right here, and it doesn't cost me nothing. I built the container out of old boards from the fence. I lined it with good black felt, a plastic where it can't leak water on the floor. I keep it damp. I feed them coffee grounds, apple peelings, pear peelings, vegetables, potato peelings, you name it. And there it is. Turns into the prettiest black dirt you ever seen. Now, I'm not saying you'll get rich, but off a little bin like this, and selling me 1 or 2 worm farms a year, and selling my poop and my worms, I'll make $400 or $500. It's a hobby. I'm not in business to make that much money. It's a hobby because I travel a lot, and that's something else. Thank you, good Lord. This bin's almost maintenance free. All I got to do is come out here and take one look at my bin, give them a good feeding of potato peelings and apple peelings or whatever, weight it down good, pull that cardboard back over it, and Mama and I are gone. 2, 3, 4 weeks sometimes. I don't worry about them worms. As long as they damp, they're not going nowhere. They'll stay in that bin. You don't see any worms on my floor, baby. Not going to happen. That's something else. Don't cover your bin. Look how loose this is. Look, it don't even fit. That gives the worm something to come up underneath and eat their little food and be happy. If you sneak in here without disturbing them and roll it back right fast, a lot of times your worms are right there. They eat. Cover this with plastic, and those worms are going to crawl up the side. They're going to be all up underneath the plastic. And you hear people say, oh, they just following the moisture. No. They're trying to escape. I mean, it's foul. They can't breathe, no air. It's foul. But anyway, there's how you make money with vermiculture.